Am I really
You won't
though?
believe it. You won't believe it.
Yeah, okay.
You hear that?
Oh my god.
It's amazing. Welcome one and all to a video I can't believe I finally get to do. Today I share my thoughts on Borderlands 4. I will have timestamps on the video in case some of you only want to know about certain parts. To preface before I start as well, major story spoilers will be in the spoilers stamped portion of the video. I will have a light spoilers section and major spoilers section, and then probably like a mega spoilers section where I really dig in on surprises I highly recommend you just don't listen to it all. And if you haven't played the game, if you haven't beaten the game, just completely skip the mega spoilers section. Like 100% don't want to ruin this surprise for you, but I also really wanted to get my most authentic thoughts out there for this game. The light spoiler section is just going to be me describing and sharing my thoughts on each of the three regions, the Carcadia Burn, Terminus Range, and the Fade Fields, the main ones you explore throughout your time in the campaign. Major spoilers is definitely more surprises, but it depends on how much you paid attention to Borderlands 4 throughout its marketing and leading up to launch and the news and everything. You might already know these things, and they were out there, they're in trailers and things, but if you haven't paid attention at all and you just want to keep things completely hidden away, then major spoilers is something for you to just skip over and completely ignore. Mega spoilers is for any and all that haven't beaten the campaign to completely skip over, completely ignore that section. Just don't watch it if you haven't beaten the game for yourself. I highly recommend it. Makes the story and the game and everything just feel so much better when you just don't know about the things I will be talking about in the mega spoiler section. Highly recommended to skip. I'm also going to start out pretty critical from the jump as I talk about my experience with co-op. So before anyone puts words in my mouth, I'd like to say that I absolutely adore this game, and I think Gearbox absolutely cooked. I love the story, the gameplay, the world, and I can't wait to play more. I say all this because I really want to dig in on certain aspects of the game that I think need some work, but I also want to reassure you that beyond just a few hitches, this game is genuinely incredible, and I think Gearbox really have outdone themselves with Borderlands 4. Okay, so I want to start with bugs and glitches, but before that, I want to preface with how my game runs. I think we all know that at this point, the game is pretty poorly optimized on PC, sadly, and so I want to make sure you guys know that what I talk about here has nothing to do with bad performance. I average between 50 to 65 frames on 1440p native with very high settings, or between 80 to 95 frames with FSR on, and then with frame gen, I average between 130 and 145 frames. My PC has a 9070 XT as the graphics card and a 9800 X3D for the processor, and I have 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. I'd also like to say that me and my friend have pretty good internet with 300 up down, and I never experienced any lag or latency in any online PvP or co-op games like Battlefield or older Borderlands games. So with that said, I can't emphasize enough that co-op needs to be fixed. This is something I really want to make apparent, as the non-host players will have a less than appealing time. There is an obnoxious level of lag/latency that just makes the game feel sluggish and not smooth at all. I played in my friend's game, and even just driving around the map, my vehicle would constantly act like I ran over a small rock or something. It's like I get these little micro stutters. Then there is the combat, where sometimes my bullets just don't register at all. I've had it happen a number of times where I'm down and I need a kill to get back up, but then the game derps out and my bullets do nothing, so I die. Even when my bullets do work though, there are times where it's delayed, so again, the game just feels sluggish. I played as Harlow, and so there were times where I go to slam an enemy with one of my gravity balls, and usually it makes this punchy noise when you slam them, but often enough in co-op, I'll slam the enemy down and then get no noise, and a couple seconds later, the health bar will go down. Even picking up weapons and gear just, again, felt very sluggish. I'd press the button to pick it up, and then like a second later, it actually picks it up. Seconds don't sound like a big deal, but you really feel it when you go from a nice snappy experience solo to this sluggish, delayed experience in co-op. I know people will think I'm exaggerating, but this legitimately made me think of Fallout 76 level latency when I just played co-op with one other person. I don't know if more than 2 players makes it worse, but what I experienced in co-op is a borderline broken co-op experience. A handful of times I would start rubber banding and be stuck in one spot for a minute, trying to jump and get unstuck almost like I'm halfway in the ground. It eventually goes back to normal-ish, but there was a time where I just left and joined back because the lag got so bad. Again, I say borderline broke. It is still playable, but for me, in my experience, it was less than enjoyable. I shouted from the rooftops about how excited I was before launch for the co-op in Borderlands 4, but this really put a damper on that. I'm really disappointed with the co-op experience in Borderlands 4 right now, and I hope it gets fixed as soon as possible. This is also me and my friend both trying to flip who's the host, and the outcome is the same for whoever is not the host. The host's experience is 100% normal though. And before I go further about other little bugs and glitches that I found throughout my time, I would like to shout out my friend's experience on the game, who has pretty much the bare minimum required to play this game, and when they tell you it's the minimum, they mean literally the minimum. And even then, I do question that reality of having all the minimum specs and trying to run this game and how that would go, because my friend has the minimum processor, the i7-9700, except I think he has the K, so there's that little difference, if anything is different at all. And then he has, instead of 16 gigabytes of RAM, he has 32, and instead of a 2070 Super, he has a 3080 Ti. Now looking at the minimum and seeing a 2070, not even a 2070 Super, I seriously question how this game would run with all that. I think it would be stuttery like crazy. I don't think many people, if anyone, would want to play with that minimum requirement. So with the specs I laid out that my friend has, again, i7-9700K, 3080 Ti, and 32 gigabytes of RAM, he gets barely on all low settings, DLSS on, all this stuff, everything he can crank all the way down he did, and he gets basically like 30 frames with micro stutters involved. Now my other friend has the i7-12700K, which is basically the recommended processor, and 32 gigabytes of RAM with a 3070 Ti, which is just below the recommended GPU. And with that, with mostly low to maybe a couple medium settings and DLSS and all this, everything basically cranked nearly all the way down, if not all the way down, he would struggle to hit that comfortable like 60 frames. He would probably hit more along the lines of like 50. And I've kind of been saying this to my friends, like there is a good 30 frames and a bad 30 frames, and that just goes along the lines of any frame rate you're getting. 50 frames is a good frame, is a good 50 frames, a bad 50 frames, and that basically includes things that I won't go into, like frame timing and micro stutters and all these other things. And he definitely wasn't having a good 50 frames, put it that way. It was he just felt the stuttery mess that it was. So yeah, for me, this game runs smooth. I have a ridiculous build though for my computer, and honestly, even then, without all the magic tricks of FSR and frame gen and whatnot, the game runs okay. Now for people with low spec builds, I would like to shout out this mod here that I'm going to put up on screen, and there will be a link to it in the description. And this basically helped my friends a lot. My friend that was getting 30 now gets a comfortable like 40, 45. And I know that doesn't sound great. He still wants to upgrade his computer because he's not too happy with the way his game's performing, but he definitely is more comfortable at that steady frame rate of like a solid, rock solid 40 with no micro stutters. And my friend that ran just around the 50 to 60 mark, sometimes dipping into like high 40s, he is more comfortably at probably like he's above 60 frames now. He's like comfortably above 60 frames. His game, he tried to get as close to potato mode as he could. I think he actually was able to turn up some of his settings, and yeah, so he's getting much better frame rate from this. So maybe if you're around that minimum to recommended specs, try this mod and see if it helps you. It's a very easy install. But also a complaint right before I go into bugs and glitches is that volumetric fog cannot be turned off in this game, and I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they didn't allow it to be turned off. This absolutely should be an update to just let you turn it off, because you can turn it off outside of the game if you go into the INI files. That's stupid. In Borderlands 3 you could turn it off, and it just frustrates me to no end that they just made it so you can't in this. And personally, I know maybe this might be a hot take, I don't know. Personally, I think the game looks better without volumetric fog on. I turned it off myself. I didn't really see a frame difference for my build. That's the thing. This mod that I've put in the description and the volumetric fog being turned off, you're not going to see much of a big performance boost using these, if any at all. If you have a build equivalent to like, you know, the 40 series, 50 series, stuff like that, if you have high-end builds, you're really not going to see much of, if any, performance boost from these mods. You kind of just are already brute forcing your way through things, and yeah, I tried it myself, didn't do anything, so I just got rid of it. As for other little glitches, there was one that was really affecting my time with quests. A glitch very occasionally occurred for me where something like an enemy was supposed to spawn, but then never did. So I'm running around for 10, 20 minutes like, what am I supposed to do? So eventually I quit back to main menu, and if I went back there it would fix itself, but this kind of glitch sometimes made me paranoid when I didn't know exactly where to go or something, and then I'd start wondering if I'm just dumb or did the game glitch out again. Another very minor glitch is marking things in my inventory. On mouse and keyboard at least, you can press X on an item to mark it as junk. With a bigger inventory space, when you have to scroll down to mark something as junk, it wouldn't let me mark what I had highlighted. Instead, it would mark or unmark like 1, 2, or 3 slots above the item I wanted to mark as junk. I could still mark it junk though if I right-clicked the item instead and used the drop-down menu. It's annoying, but definitely a more minor issue. Okay, now we can move on to what is pretty much everything good about this game. That was pretty much the majority of my complaints. I might have a few little nitpicks here and there for the rest of the video, but those were my major complaints. And now we move on to story. And to be quite honest, I didn't really have much expectation for the story when it came to Borderlands 4. Prior to launch, I was so excited about so many other things. I didn't really talk or think much about what the story would be or anything like that. I was too curious about the world itself. Well, let's break it down in the order that I played the story. And again, this will be marked as light spoilers. And there's no major spoilers in this part, but if you haven't played the game and you just want to keep the regions and what goes on within those regions a mystery to yourself, feel free to skip. From here, it will be light spoilers to major spoilers to mega spoilers, and I will have all those time stamped and you can just skip the whole thing if you want. Okay, so I started off with the fate fields, and I'll be fair with it up front and say I think when I do a second playthrough I will like it a lot more. Not to say I didn't like it, but the story did not resonate with me as much as other parts of the game did. Again, in fairness to the story, in the Fade Fields, I think two things are true in my case. One, I was playing co-op, so there was a bit of distraction. Two, the world itself and the entire game itself was so new and shiny. My attention was constantly pulled this way or that way. I feel like a second go at the story in the Fade Fields would really help me to let it sink in more. That said, I liked the characters and I really liked Rush. It felt unique to have someone so militant in Borderlands, and honestly, I kinda wanted more time with him. I really enjoyed Idolater Saul, and listening to some of his echoes, me and my friend found this one that really made us laugh, and I kinda wanna share it here with you guys because it's just too good in my opinion.
I'm sorry! Not enough. Now, what have you learned? Timekeeper is written as one word, and a capital T! Capital T, Timekeeper! You'll never see it any other way on my reports, I swear! I believe you.
I just thought that was so funny when I listened to that, and again, it goes into my love for Idolater Saul. His intense aura, his level of seriousness and conviction, especially when it comes to the Timekeeper. Idolater Saul lives to be by the Timekeeper's side, and he'd literally be willing to kill a part of himself just to get there. I know because that was also in an echo where he perceives the Timekeeper's decision to move Idolater Saul out to the Fade Fields as a sign that Idolater Saul did something wrong. And he asks himself what he's done wrong. He contemplates what part of his own character got him further removed from the Timekeeper. He's willing to kill that part of his own character. Idolater Saul has one goal in mind, and he will do anything to get there. So when it comes to the Fade Fields, I enjoyed my time. Overall, the story didn't resonate with me a ton, but Rush and Idolater Saul definitely did. Okay, so next up, I went to Terminus Range and took on Vile Lictor with Defiant Calder. And man, the story here, it just really felt like an upgrade. Let's remember as well that the story is non-linear to some degree, so you can do these regions in any order. Anyway, I came out of Terminus Range feeling like the writing team absolutely cooked. Plenty of surprises, which I won't talk about here. They did something really unexpected and made me actually like a character I didn't think I'd care about, and that is Amara. I might get some heat for this, but Amara, personality-wise in Borderlands 3, was not my favorite. And thinking about her being a full-fledged character that's a part of the story in Borderlands 4, it didn't have me excited in the least. However, the writing team seriously cooked and showed character development with Amara, which really made me like her. It felt like the world of Kairos knocked her down a peg, and I feel like I could just hear her struggle / desperation to find Lilith. Amara pride herself on being the Tiger of Partali, being the strongest there was, but I feel like she beat herself down when she couldn't find Lilith, making her feel more grounded in Borderlands 4. I appreciated the tone and sincerity Amara was written with, a strong-willed beast that felt lost without her pack and its leader. I feel like her using Sanctuary 3 as her shelter after so much time really shows how much it felt like home to her. Maybe I'm reading too deep, but that's what I took away from it. After Terminus Range, I was really excited to get more of the story, so pretty quickly after, I headed to Carcadia Burn and was really tuned into the dialogue. I was excited to see Zane and Moxie, as well as meeting Levane. The Zane and Moxie duo splash screen has to be one of, if not the best character intro splash screens I've ever seen personally. Anyway, the chemistry between Zane and Levane as a pairing of characters was kind of fun to listen to, and at times reminded me a little of the awkward banter between Roland and Lilith in Borderlands 2, except it's Zane, so it was much more sexual and jokey. I did think that Zane missed a bit of his own character development like Amara felt like she had. I thought Zane felt a little like the Borderlands 3 forced comedy at times. Ironically, it was very flipped from what I thought I would enjoy more. Amara as a character in Borderlands 4, I honestly enjoyed much more than Zane. Not that I didn't like Zane, I thought he looked badass and his missions were fun, but I just wished he had more depth in his writing. I was honestly surprised at the events with Callus and how she turned out to be. I really thought there would be more to her, since she also wants to fight the Timekeeper, but I guess she was so fixated on power that it just consumed who she was. I know again people will probably hate me for saying this, but I almost for a second got some Tyreen vibes off her. Not because of personality, but because of her goal to leave Kairos and basically rule the universe. But I guess that's generic enough to be similar to a lot of villains' goals. Overall, I had fun with my time in Carcadia, and I'm not quite sure which I liked more, Carcadia Burn or the Fade Fields. Terminus Range is definitely my favorite of the three, not only because there's snow, but the story and characters definitely resonated with me the most. Okay, so now we get into a major spoiler area of the video. So again, will be timestamped. If you want to jump right past this part, feel free to do so. Now I know I just said Terminus Range is my favorite, but that's just among those main three regions. My true favorite? The part of this game that had me in awe, like a scenery bringing tears to a grown man's eyes. Elpis. And I know the map isn't that big, explorable fun zone like the others, but true Borderlands the pre-sequel fans will know what I'm saying. Now there is an enormous amount of nostalgia bait here, but come on, after 14 years, I finally get to go back to my home away from home. Back when Pandora was the main stage, but then pre-sequel came out, and I know I'm getting off track here, just waxing poetic on pre-sequel in a Borderlands 4 review, but Elpis in Borderlands 4 took me back. And they respected it. They got the music right, the color palette, the Oz kits, the oxygen springs. Oh my god. Dude, just walking through it, I felt my child self's heart beat. And then Gearbox went bold and dared bring this man back. If you are a scavenger, you'll find a special echo on the remains of Elpis, and you can hear the voice of a grown pickle. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Okay, but for real though, Gearbox did indeed give us a tidbit on what's going on with Pickle, and it sounds like he's the leader of something. What that is, I have no idea. The echo doesn't tell. So the story on Elpis, I enjoyed a lot. The Callus space boss fight, it's not my favorite, but I really enjoyed getting what is probably more than likely the last visit to Elpis in the series. I really think they nailed the setting, the music, just everything. It genuinely was nostalgic for me. It brought back so many memories of when I first played Borderlands the pre-sequel, starting it up co-op with my brother for the first time, and just so many good memories. So much good nostalgia just washing over me while I was on Elpis in Borderlands 4. Okay, so moving on, and I'm going to be completely honest, even with 85 hours on the game, I didn't quite explore the Dominion enough to get a good read on the location. From what I've experienced, it's definitely packed with enemies and things to do, just like the rest of the game. I did kinda rush through it my first time there though, because I was really into the story by then. The no vehicles allowed was probably a good choice since the place isn't that big anyways. When it comes to the Timekeeper as a villain, I loved him. For a while I felt like he was missing from the game a lot, but I think that's the charm of the Timekeeper as a villain. It's funny because when he was talking to me in the Dominion, I started to realize that the charm and effect of him rarely speaking to you throughout the game is, at least to me, the effect is I shut the F up when he shows up on the Echo. It made me think back to that interview I covered with all the writers, and I think it may have been Sam Winkler, but I can't remember for sure. Someone in that interview said with Handsome Jack, he was very focused on you, the player. You were a major issue to him, and he wanted you gone. With the Timekeeper, it's the exact opposite, where you're nothing to him. He gives little to no attention to you. This was how the writers began to put it, and it really rang true throughout my playthrough. I mean, he's so cocky right up until the end, where he's finally like, okay, fine. You want to die that badly? You know where I am. I mean, this dude was not afraid of you even up till the very end. He thought so little of you that even when you're in his face fighting him, he thinks you're a non-issue. Obviously, in the end, you prove him wrong. Okay, now let's take a step back, or a lot of steps back. And guys, if you are still listening and have not played the game, this is mega spoiler territory that you want to keep a surprise for yourself. I encourage you all who have not beaten the story to skip over this part now. So a big reason I loved Terminus Range and why the story cooked. The spice to this story I never expected in a million years, and man did it pay dividends. Last chance on the spoiler count. 3, 2, 1. The nobody from the beginning, RJ. This was amazing writing, guys. I was pleasantly surprised by the whole thing. The voice actor did great work with this character of taking him from sounding almost like an innocent hero wanting to save Kairos to fucked up, sadistic psychopath. The fact he became like some messed up male siren through some twisted methods that completely messed him up. And toward the end, when he's in your ear with all this talk about how Lilith needs to go, and he's just like maniacally laughing. This dude was the spice to the story that no one knew they needed. I apologize for jumping around, but while we're still in the mega spoiler section of the video, when Lilith said those 3 words, I haven't heard said in 14 years, war is coming. Oh my god. I got goosebumps. I immediately thought, alright, where is Borderlands 5? The writers, the voice actors, all cooked on this game. And I don't know if it's recency bias, only time will tell, but this story is most likely the best in the series. I am all about Borderlands, the pre-sequel, for its story. People who have watched me for a long time know how much I love it, along with the Claptastic Voyage, but I bend the knee and give all the props to the team that worked on Borderlands 4. The story, the world, and the gameplay are all chef's kiss. Now, moving away from spoiler territory and story and all that, moving into a new topic, they even nailed the side quests. I mean, they had it all in the side quests. They had comedy with the likes of Flat Kairos. For y'all that haven't done it yet, play this side quest. I was laughing out loud so much on this one. But what made a quest like Flat Kairos special was some of the more serious side quests where it was just good writing pulling me in. I can't remember the name of it, but there was one where there was mystery and tension going on, and I remember while doing it just telling my friend, they even got side quests with good enough writing to pull me in without it being all jokes. Part of it as well, again, no spoilers here, both story and side quests, that made it all really enjoyable was the level on which my character I was playing as was a part of all the stories. I can't wait to play as a different character, because I played Harlow and the game truly felt tailored toward my character. All the dialogue just flowed so naturally, and seeing my character in cutscenes contributing to conversation, I honestly have to give the Borderlands community credit, because I didn't think it was a big deal, but dang, the writing team proved me wrong. And y'all that shouted from the rooftops for our character to be more involved. You guys are a part of what made that happen. I thought the music was really good as well. I feel like Borderlands music is always great. I felt some tracks were callbacks to the likes of Borderlands 1, and then some were definitely setting a mood for tension, and then there were just bangers, especially when the combat comes on. I feel like there's really great tracks there, and it's cool because it feels like, I'm pretty sure the combat tracks are different for each region, which is awesome. I love that. On top of that, at the same time as having great soundtracks, the team really pulled it together with these moments in exploration where there is no music and you just hear the world. I really thought that was awesome and appreciated that a lot. Finally, I'm still working my way through the Ultimate Vault Hunter modes, but so far, I really enjoy the endgame. I think my biggest complaint is something I feared before the game even came out, which is not being able to track the challenges that you have to do to get through each level of Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks. The challenge essentially describes where to go, but you can't track it or anything, so you have to find it on the map, and if you haven't discovered the place yet, then it's a hunt for a needle in a haystack. My problem with this is nowadays we have the internet, and most, if not all, are just going to say screw it and look up each location. So Gearbox should definitely save us the trouble of taking our eyes off the game and just add a tracker for this, so I don't have to look it up. I like that you don't have to farm or refarm your gear, although I'm definitely struggling to find a build for myself right now, I'll be honest, as I try to do it on my own without any guides or anything. Currently on Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 3 myself, and I like that they give boosts to loot and all, as well as some firmware locked behind the ranks. It's funny because the wildcard missions you have to do to get up another level in the Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks, seriously, it legitimately feels like people at Gearbox played Wonderlands Redux and took a lot of notes, because even these missions remind me of going up the ranks in the Chaos levels in Wonderlands Redux, not vanilla, Redux. Redux is a mod, I've covered it, I've made a video about it, you can check it out. But it's really similar and reminds me of it because in Wonderlands Redux, when you go up a level, it spams like this one specific enemy type kind of thing at you, and that's the challenge you have to work around to get to the next Chaos level. In Borderlands 4, it's the same way with the Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks. You have to overcome this one challenge that they really spam you with. I can't say I enjoy it a ton, but it's the way it goes. In one of them, every enemy I killed dropped a black hole, which I absolutely hated. The next one I did, which is the one I just did to get to Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 3, was basically you couldn't damage or kill the enemy unless you hit them with a critical hit. It was literally almost like SWAT from Halo, where you have to critical hit them and then they just insta-die. They just like pop like a zit when you critical hit them, but you can't damage them any other way. So as Harlow, where I'm all about elements and AoE and all this stuff, it kind of sucked, I'm not gonna lie, but whatever, I did it eventually and overcame that. So yeah, that is the Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks, and I just thought it was funny that they definitely, it seems like, pulled from that with the Chaos levels in the Redux mod. Outside of those missions where you're just in the Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks, in the world, doing the boss fights and farming and all that, I really enjoy it. I like, again, that you don't have to refarm your gear or anything, you don't have to worry about that. I like all that. So I'm really excited to continue with my level 50 Harlow and try to get a build out of this character. I need to figure something out. But with that, that is all of my thoughts on Borderlands 4. And wow, this video is gonna be long. But I know I took a while to get this video out, but I just really wanted to take my sweet time with Borderlands 4. I didn't want to rush anything. I didn't want to rush my thoughts. I felt like after so much time covering Borderlands 4 up to launch and everything, it was like, this is the moment I was waiting for. We were all waiting for, right? And I just did not want to rush anything about it. I didn't want to sour any moment for myself, so I didn't. And I appreciate all of y'all that came here, watched this video. If you stuck around till now, holy crap, you're a freaking legend, because this video is long. I will be doing a stream either Friday or Saturday, not exactly sure which day, so if you want to catch me live, then be sure to get subbed, tap the bell so you get notified when I go live, and I'm going to start a brand new playthrough on Borderlands 4. I think I want to play Amon, but I'm really not sure who I want to play for my second playthrough, so if you have suggestions, let it be heard down below. I'm curious what y'all will pick for me, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.